All right. Apparently, we are live for another biddle.
Oh, man.
Mm-hmm.
It's happened.
Oh, man.
So, Michael, what's the deal here, man? Are you sad, dude, or what?
Are you a sad panda?
Oh, always. Sad panda.
What happened now? Tell us.
Did you get a mean comment on YouTube or something?
I was reading something on my phone, and all of a sudden it's like my head's down looking at a phone, so that's why I don't know. What are you talking about?
I don't know.
Trying to like make it all about me. I don't want to make it all about me. Speaking of me.
Yeah.
Nice segue.
Ski, what's happening, man?
Hey, yeah, there's Ski.
Uh-oh, got to send the link out.
Hey,
so,
Steve.
Colin is back.
Welcome
Colin.
back, Colin.
Thank you.
Hey, Heather.
We missed you, man.
Thank you.
Is it good to
How
be
was
back?
it?
Time? You enjoy your trip?
Yeah, it was okay.
It's okay.
You went to Thailand? Wasn't it Thailand? It's just okay?
Yeah,
Yeah, it was just
I went,
okay.
went to Chiang Mai. That was good, but we stopped into Bangkok as well, which we've already been before. But I suppose when you've got expectations, sometimes it can be big expectations.
World traveler. I don't care about these things.
I stayed in
Were you running
Chinatown. It
island?
was an
That's a big
absolutely
question.
busy as. I've never seen such a busier place except Cambodia. Chinatown in Bangkok is crazy.
So they just had bad internet, so therefore you were miserable, right?
Actually, Chiang Mai was good. Chiang Mai had the fastest internet I've ever had before in my lifetime.
Wow.
For a second.
Wow, a whole 10 megabytes.
Yeah, that was
Nah,
the first
yeah,
week I was on here. It was good.
Very cool.
Enjoyed it.
Nice, man.
Well, Colin, tell us, were you running Nyland because you were in that neck of the woods and wanted to make yourself feel at home that way, or what?
What's that? Sorry, Joe. Say that again.
I said, were you running Nyland while you were over there just to be flowing with the demographic of where you were at?
Oh, it was we visited a few things actually while there. Took the kids quad biking, and I did paintballing for the first time. I think my son shot me about 5 times from about 3 meters out.
Yeah.
And the quad biking was awesome, I must say. Great fun. And we did some zip lining as well. That was awesome.
Oh,
Anyone
cool.
done zip lining before? That's quite good.
Yep. That's really good.
Yeah, a lot of fun.
It sounds cool. I don't know if it would be cool, but it sounds cool.
It depends
was
on
good.
how big the zip line is.
Some of them are fairly long and you go fairly high, I must say. But the young kids have got their cameras while they're zip lining. Me, I'm just holding on and make sure, I'm holding on.
Let the kids record. You're going to be
Yeah,
safe.
that's
They go flying off and die. You're still going to be holding on. Be like, I told you, youngin. I told you.
All right, so everybody in the chat needs to let me know if there's any buffering tonight, because hopefully there's not. But
So far, it's running smooth, man.
we'll see.
I'm in Australia, so there'll be buffering anyway.
I just hear some kind of feedback noise.
Yeah,
or
that's.
something.
I got to mute you, Matt. That's feedback from you, dude. I don't know what it is exactly.
I think Matt swallowed his mic.
Yeah, or he's running a vacuum cleaner, one or the other.
He's running about. He's over there. Hey, guys. Just joining you on Saturday night. Getting some cleaning done.
Does that give new meaning to the phrase Linux sucks?
No, that has nothing to do with Linux. That's sound. That's audio.
I don't know.
So I wanted to bring up a discussion, if that's all right. Can we bring up a discussion?
Yes, please.
I was
That's
just
what we
chatting
do
on.
here, dude.
I was just chatting on Telegram before, and I was just mentioning about Ferrin OS, and somebody said, "Does it have UEFI boot?" And I said no, so they didn't want to go anywhere near it. But I just wanted to ask, what's the big difference between UEFI and legacy? Why, if you're running legacy now, is that a problem? Is it a problem, or I want to know?
It will be.
It will be. And why is that?
Because in the future, there will be BIOS won't be used. There will be no motherboards that have support for BIOS. So there won't be a legacy option in the BIOS at all. So the motherboard.
What about current computers?
It depends. So it's more optimized. Like UEFI is way better because it's way more optimized and everything boots way faster with it. So I mean, if you use that instead of BIOS, it's a better experience overall as far as boot time goes. Once it's booted, it doesn't matter, but it's just an overall better experience, and it manages the power signals from each peripheral more efficiently. But overall, it doesn't really matter that much.
Yet I've had problems on the new laptop with UEFI. I've had to go back to legacy on there. So currently, it's not a problem, but I think, like Michael's saying, it's probably down the road it will be.
Yeah, it's already been established that they're going to get rid of support for BIOS.
Yeah.
Well, fingers crossed UEFI's works better for me, and I think it's a better boot up system anyway, because if anything goes wrong with your grub, just jump into your UEFI settings and pick something else.
Yep.
It'll pick up that grub instead.
Yep.
I believe
as long as UEFI
legacy is ROM, right, Michael? So it's like
legacy's BIOS.
Yeah, but it's written to your ROM, so it's only got a 64 kilobyte capability, and then if you have any issues, it's ROM. So you're kind of it's really bad, right? Whereas UEFI could rewrite a million times.
Pretty much, because the UEFI is stored in the system itself, like stored on the hard drives and stuff, instead of using the motherboard's cache.
I find I have a lot of different variations with the UEFI. Like this laptop here, I don't know how old it is, probably 5-6 years old. I just have nothing but problems with UEFI in this one. But on the NUC, I try some on the NUC, but I'm not dual booting on the NUC, so I don't know how the dual boot goes on a new UEFI, but don't seem to have a lot of luck on this thing here.
So, I mean, sometimes there's configurations that are not going to work as well.
Yeah, it's definitely not as simple as the BIOS, but I guess it's better.
Experience, but it depends on you have to have hardware that supports it.
Yeah, okay. But not all distros are up there yet, are they? They're getting there,
right.
I believe.
Not all distros have it support, and some of them support it in weird ways.
Yeah, they don't seem to be consistent, do they? That's what I find too. That it's not consistent.
Well, some of them it's not really a requirement to have an implementation of UEFI in a certain way, so they do it in different structures. Okay. There's a standard, but it's not like a requirement. But like for example, there's etc/UEFI, and there's also people who just do UEFI folder from in root, and then there's also people
a goofy boot or something, isn't it?
Yeah, there's multiple configurations, and as long as they use the standard, you're not going to run into any big problems. But every once in a while, you'll find a distro that does it in a weird way that creates issues.
Yep.
Interrogos used to be a distro that did that in a weird way.
You'll find out their support method, whether especially because I have an NVMe hard drive. So it's one of those situations where if they don't support UEFI, there's no chance of getting it to work.
Yep. That's what I've got on the NUC is the NVMe as well. So that's where I run into a few problems as well with that one. And actually, sometimes if it doesn't support, you won't even see the USB show up.
Won't even show up.
Okay. So it wasn't just put there so Microsoft can control more computers. Is that right? Or
funny enough, there were a lot of people saying there were a lot of security issues back in the day when UEFI was starting to take off. And like any of these things, there's some truth to it, but it's all about progression at the end of the day, I think. And
okay.
I don't think anybody can argue at this point that UEFI is bad.
You can argue it's bad. It's not. But BIOS is that it implies BIOS is better. That's not. I wouldn't agree with that. I'd still say they're both bad.
But it's like anything new. It takes a while to get used to it for the technology to just level out and get working. And then by the time they get it leveled out and working, they bring something else out.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Hey, ever heard of Wayland? It's perfect.
But Colin, like you're saying, the older hardware, I think right now, as of today, it probably would be okay on the older hardware for you.
Yeah, old hardware, you're going to need to use BIOS.
Right.
There's also some distros that are like abandoning BIOS. There are very few of them, but it's a thing that's going to happen. Just like 32-bit's going to die.
Yeah, Well, a lot of people have abandoned 32-bit, so.
Yeah,
But it's going to take that whole cycle is going to take a while for it to happen, and it's going to be the same.
32-bit's close to be gone though.
Yeah, but it's been talked about for how long now? So.
Well, I mean, they couldn't,
and
get
it's
rid of
still
it.
not completely gone.
They couldn't start to even get rid of it until like 4 or 5 years ago. Like they needed at least 10 years of development for 64-bit to be a potential replacement.
Yeah, well, that's kind of what I'm saying, that it's going to take a while for
they've already had
the cycle to go through.
We've already had that enough time. That's why it's starting now.
I'm talking compared to UEFI and getting.
Oh yeah, UEFI and BIOS.
It's going to take a while for that cycle to go through.
It's going to be a while for sure.
Linux Lite still has 32-bit support, thankfully, because I just put it on a Dell 610 piece of junk, and it runs beautifully. It's for my 4-year-old, and I'm putting sugar on top of it, and he's going to have a blast with it, but I needed the 32-bit, and Linux Lite's been just beautiful, man. I love that OS. For older hardware, it's amazing. It really is. It really is. Imagine that.
I find MX runs the best on really, really old computers. It flies, MX.
MX is good too.
Tiny core.
As old as I'm talking about, though.
Well, I tried to install KDE Neon on the laptop back here, and every time I boot into the...
Because it's the best.
Just to see if it would run. But it would not boot up to the USB. Like, it just gives you a flashing cursor. Like, well, I shouldn't say it's a flashing cursor. It brings you to the shell, but the shell is flashing 100 miles an hour. So I don't know exactly what's going on with it. Maybe it doesn't like the older hardware or whatever, but
you got to let it run through so it can finish downloading the virus.
Is very like new hardware centric for sure.
Yeah.
They also like don't support 32-bit at all. They're pretty much focused on the they only care about KDE stack in general. So as little requirements as possible to make the system work is what they're going for. So Canonical and Ubuntu handles the vast majority of what Neon is, and then the Neon team handle the KDE stack. So it makes more sense for them to only provide a 64-bit because they're not trying to worry about the whole thing.
Right.
Gampa Gamer says he has a question about KDE Neon. Well, guess what? We have Michael here from Tux Digital who can answer any question you have about KDE.
Well, wait, before we go into any question. Hi, Barb. How you doing?
Hi, Bob. How are you?
Pretty good. All right, ask away. What's the question?
I wouldn't say any question.
Any.
Most questions.
Literally any.
Well, wait a minute. There's only one guy that's the most intelligent in this room.
Me. I use i3.
Yeah.
Naturally.
Of course. I mean,
That old chestnut.
That old chestnut.
You also use XFCE, right?
Are you still using i3? I mean, everybody's on Xmonad now.
I thought you're on KDE Neon now, Ryan, aren't you?
On which machine? Yeah, on my main machine.
Which machine?
I have KDE Neon. I've got KDE Neon on the Ryzen machine. I'm using Linux Lite a lot more, and I've got Arch Merge on my MacBook. So I've got.
Which I don't know why you have a MacBook.
Just speaking of KDE Neon,
Beautiful,
mine was on 4.10 kernel, and they had the 4.13 installed, but it wasn't using it by default. So I used a program called UKUU, Kernel Manager. Yep. I uninstalled the 4.10, and it went to the 4.13. Does it not do the 4.13 by default, or is there another way within KDE Neon to do that?
Neon's based on 1604, so it's
1604. Oh, that's why. Okay.
Yeah, it only cares about the hardware enablement versions, so you're not going to get the latest kernel for that.
Unless you jump to the HWE stack.
Yeah, but you're still not going to get the latest version.
No, you'll only get the 4.13, 26, I think it is at the moment.
Yeah,
that's the one I'm running. That's the good patch, isn't it? 26.
Yes. Anything after 21 is fine.
Okay, that's cool.
You can also do that with it. There's other, even 4.4 has the patch.
Yeah. But let's not forget Gampa Gamer. He's asking in Ubuntu that you have a hardware config thing. which will detect firmware. How do you do that in Neon?
I told him you just install the additional drivers if you want. If that's what he's looking
driver section. It's the same way that Ubuntu does it.
In Discover Store, just type in additional drivers and it'll pop up.
Yeah, I don't think it has the same.
Discover Store, is it? Oh.
Yeah. I don't think it has its own.
I knew the answer.
He's so proud of himself.
You have no idea. And I typed it as fast as I could to beat Michael too, and I was like, he was talking, and I'm like, please keep talking, please keep talking.
Your Google foo is good.
Yes, Michael, deal with it.
I was going to say, that's when Discover actually works.
Nice. I mean, if I don't have to, I'm okay with you doing it.
Go to tuxdigital.com/DOSGeek.
Yeah.
Oh, nice plug.
So I did a bit of tweaking in KDE Neon to get the root open root file, and I think
did you find your way back?
I think they've locked that down so much. Not even the tweaks work anymore. I cannot open Dolphin with root at all. Did you manage to do that, Ryan, or not? Or is it just so locked down you can't do it anymore? There are some
Dolphin with root.
You can't do it anymore.
You can't do it, can you? Not. It will
not even from a terminal logged in as root. Run Dolphin.
No, it won't. It just says it's not capable of doing so. No matter what you do,
What's the workaround, Michael?
I tried installing KDE sudo.
He's waiting for Ryan to answer.
Ryan had his one day. That's it.
Whatever Michael says next, I'm typing to him right now so he knows the answer. Are you getting this, Michael? Are you getting this? Just repeat what I'm typing.
Yeah.
Is there a workaround, Michael?
It's a family show. Don't repeat it.
So is that like
what he said was it was pretty bad, but there's really not really a way. The only way to do it is to go in Sue and then install KDE Sue and then launch that from Sue. It's not a good idea.
Doesn't work. It still doesn't work.
Could you use GKSU?
KDE sudo KDESU. I updated the little file, the script file that runs it, and that originally had KDESU. I changed that to sudo. I installed that, and none of those worked. So the only way you can copy or move files is through the copy or move command in the terminal. That's it.
Could you use GKSU, Michael?
Probably
that's not in there. It's not in there. That's only for GNOME, isn't it?
You can use it in another thing, but it wouldn't really work that well.
It would have the same result as the KDE.
It probably would, yeah. But you can use it. I don't think it's a good idea in a sense of I don't agree that they shouldn't allow its possibility, but I do agree that it's not typically necessary for someone to edit the system files. And if someone's going to edit the system files, they should know what they're doing, and to say, hey, you should at least, if you're going to edit the system files, you should know how the terminal works. I mean, that's kind of a reasonable opinion from them.
Yeah, but I don't think that's reasonable. Only because every distro out there, or almost every distro out there, gives you some way to edit as root. KDE used to give you that option as well. So all of these years, it's been okay, and you don't hear of. Look, you're always going to have people who maybe will mess up their system, but to remove the option completely, if you want to make it harder, or uncheck a box so it doesn't show up by default, but leave the option in there somewhere deep in the settings, that's fine.
But there's a lot of people who've sent bug reports solely because they did something they shouldn't have done, and they didn't know how to do it, and they didn't bother to learn how to fix it. They just said it was KDE's fault.
So typical, the problem is between the keyboard and the chair?
Yeah, sometimes.
Yeah.
Sounds fair.
Yeah.
Yes, but you don't remove the option altogether.
Yeah.
I mean,
so you can remove the user.
I mean, there's situations where like there's a valid point that says that if you're going to mess with system files, it's one thing to edit as root in the sense of like editing a file as root, but opening Dolphin as root, that is typically unnecessary because that means you're trying to open the entire system files to get access to all the core system files as in the file manager. If you know what you're doing as far as messing with the system files, you should be able to just do it in the terminal. And if you just want to edit a certain file for like a config file or something, you can open that as root.
But this goes against everything that Linux is about, isn't it?
No, definitely not.
That it's free and open source and allows you to do and customize it the way you want it. It's almost kind of gnomish, don't you think, to remove that option?
No, definitely not.
I think it is.
Yes, in the sense of removing options, yes. In the sense that Linux is for that, nah. I don't think Linux is for that.
I think Linux should be. You should be allowed to do whatever you want with your.
You can do whatever you want. You can change.
Except open as root.
Dolphin and change it to however you want it to be.
You accept open as root. You can't do that.
No, open source. All it says is that you're able to edit the source to do what you want. If you
wrong choice of words.
If you have no ability to do that.
The whole point is that most people who don't have the ability to do it shouldn't do it. Is what they're saying. And like in most cases, like what file in the system files that you typically run into you need to open as root?
Okay, these are the things. Well, themes, sometimes themes across the board for other users and also wallpapers, but I noticed they've got their wallpapers in local share.
Plasma has everything in local share.
Okay, so maybe that's the difference. So maybe we're so used to using GNOME-based that it becomes confusing when you're using a KDE-based. That's what I'm finding at the moment. So I'm doing a bit of exploring.
Yeah,
maybe you don't need to go into.
Technically, GNOME has the ability to do local share as well, but but most themes don't typically do that. So user share themes, local share themes. Plasma is always local share themes. So
local share will go across all users. Is that right?
No, it's an individual user.
It's an individual. So how do you share across all users then?
Just install it for the other user.
So you got to install it twice instead of putting it in the root system where it's available for all users.
Sure,
correct.
But what? How does that hurt?
Well, if you're setting up a system and you wanted to give it to a person and you wanted to give them, let's just say you're setting a KDE up for somebody and you wanted to put some wallpapers in and some extra themes or whatever. And then if they set that up for more users, you don't want them coming back to you saying, oh, I want this wallpaper for such and such. It's already there.
If they probably don't know how to set it up for more users. If you had to set up in the first place, they probably don't know how to do the second one.
It's just an example.
And I'm just saying, like, most of the times, like, you don't need to do that. And
but shouldn't you be allowed?
If you install a theme from the Git themes management, I don't know what they call it. But the Plasma thing where you can install like add-ons and themes and widgets and whatever that's called, you install that, it'll do it for you and put it into the root system.
What's it called?
I agree. Sorry?
I was just saying, what's it called? Michael doesn't know. You're slacking there, son. You're not prompting him.
Ryan?
What? Was somebody asking me something?
All I'm saying is,
you all want to know my opinion on this? Is that what
option
you guys
should be
waiting
there
for that?
Anyway,
the i3 user's opinion. You guys want to know what the i3 user's opinion is?
Yeah, the i3.
I need everyone to ask for it. You have to ask for it if you want it.
Oh my gosh.
So, Rocco, how are you doing?
I'm doing great, man. I don't know what's going on with other people here.
Everyone wants to know what the i3 user thinks. Fine, I'll tell you.
Yeah.
No, thanks.
You're the only one who wants to tell us, so go ahead.
If you need to let us know what you think, Ryan, go right ahead.
Okay.
He doesn't think because KDE is beneath him because he's an i3 user.
Now we're talking. That's right.
Note the sarcasm.
See, Jacob even said in chat, we can't take anything seriously until I chime in. That's what I'm talking about. Bring in the fans, man.
Notice he doesn't say enter the discussion, but chimes in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just randomly.
And notice Ryan's shirt. That's what happens to distros after he gets done testing them anyway.
Yeah, if I can't break it, nobody can. So, Rocco, on the serious note, though, didn't we have a very intelligent guest tell us why they decided to remove that function? And it seemed like a very valid response. It was Jonathan Riddell, if I recall.
Security purposes?
And didn't he?
Riddle.
Yeah, it was security.
Yeah.
He was a Mythbuster too, wasn't he? About the weight of the KDE system.
Yeah, that was definitely a Mythbuster, but he was basically stating that it opens up a whole lot of security issues when they include that function. So while he understood the convenience of it, which is where most of us are at, right? It's just more convenient to right click and open as root. He said that it just opens them up for all kinds of potential issues. So they decided to keep it closed, which seemed like a very valid point to me. Well, I can't back it up and say I know exactly why it's insecure or not, but he's basically saying they have to open up a whole nother area of programming that could be basically attacked to enable that feature.
When you open any GUI application as root, it creates an issue.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Because
isn't that the whole premise of Linux, the whole open source system anyway? Anybody can do anything to it. It's just checks and balances.
So, okay, the point of open source is you can edit what you want.
Right.
As soon as you take out the part of you editing it yourself and someone else editing it for you, that is not the point of open source anymore.
Right.
So like that's why when people say, Linux is all about choice. Linux is all about, like the open source aspect of it. Like, no, it's not. These distros are making your choice for you in like hundreds of ways every time you use it. So I just don't think it's a fair statement to say, why can't I have this if I want it? Well, if you want it that much, then change.
Go and use something else.
Yeah.
Right, because basically it's a template. In theory, what you're using is a template that somebody else has created, unless you start something from scratch on your own. I mean, realistically, if you look at it that way, because that's you're taking a template, customizing, in essence, right?
Hold on, Joe. Try that again. You cut out.
Yeah. Okay, yeah, I just got an unstable issue. What I'm saying, in essence, any distro that you use that's already been created is, in essence, a template.
Yeah.
If you're customizing it from there, so unless you're starting from scratch yourself with something, you're building off of something that's already been there as a template.
But let's be fair about this. From where I'm coming from, they're doing nothing that anybody else is not doing. I mean, GNOME does this kind of stuff all the time. Elementary is the same way. They all have their way of doing things. They all have the things they have removed or not allowed you to do or allowed you to do their way. So it's nothing out of the ordinary, except for the fact that when it's something that you rely on or you use all the time, and then you try to use it and it's not there, it's just a sore spot. That's all. So I personally think it's ridiculous that they take it out when pretty much every other distro has it in. But it's their choice. It's their distro. They can do whatever they want with it.
You don't like it?
I will do what Michael said and choose something else.
I was going to say,
if you don't like what they're doing,
is that a deal breaker though?
Yeah, I don't think it's a deal breaker.
No, I was going to ask Rocco personally. Like, is that seriously a deal breaker if you go into a distro and it doesn't have that feature in the file manager? You're like, I'm not using this.
No, it's not a deal breaker. It's, for me with KDE, it was something that pushed me over the edge, where I already had little issues with KDE, and more so the philosophy behind doing it than what was actually doing is what kind of upset me. But
that's interesting.
It's not a deal. Like, if I go to a new distro and it doesn't have it, like GNOME doesn't have it. You don't right click and
GNOME doesn't have a lot of things.
Hit open as an administrator, but Ubuntu Mate does.
Yeah,
so that's what I'm running right now.
Yeah, you can.
You kind of view it like I do, which is it's a convenience if it's there. If it's not,
yep.
Oh well, type of thing.
There are times I wish I had it, but there's also CP and file path and location.
Yay.
I also think it depends on the purpose that you're using it for. For me, I've noticed that like installing themes and icons in KDE is a lot different to GNOME because they have the themes where you can go get themes and they've got them all there within the application. You don't have to go online and get them. So I think that's a big difference between the two that I've noticed.
There's actually the KDE store and the opendesktop.org site is managed. I don't know if it's owned, but definitely managed and controlled by the Blue Systems company that donates a ton to KDE. And so, like, the integration, it makes sense that when you install a theme or whatever, it goes to opendesktop.org and pulls in the theme from there. And that's where they get all the look and feel themes as well.
That's right. It's pretty handy, I must say, because you don't have to go anywhere. They're all there, unless you want something specific, I suppose, that they don't have in there.
Yeah, there's times where they don't like. I think opendesktop.org has a lot of potential that is not really there yet. And I think the system of installing things, like when it works and when someone uploads a compatible theme, it's amazing because it's just like click a button and it's there. Sometimes people install or upload things that are not really compatible, and they don't seem to have like a filter that says this is not able to be downloaded, don't show it, kind of thing.
Right.
They should do that. They should also make the website look like it was made in this decade. Many things.
Hey, Ryan, you would know something about stuff looking like it's a few decades old.
Why is that? Looking at your camera?
Oh,
Wow.
This boy is on fire.
Here come the missiles.
Finally fires back.
Finally. I think it's just like his default reaction.
That's right. If you guys are enjoying some of Michael's commentary, by the way, he is going to make a appearance on Destination Linux on Monday. So if you're not already subscribed, you should.
You should.
Yep.
You have to go to the Linux Patreon as well.
There goes your ratings.
How awesome is that?
And he might even make it into the bloopers.
That'd be good.
The problem is we didn't get him to sign that waiver. He had no idea it was being recorded when we were just talking. We were just talking.
I was gonna say, Rocco, there could be plenty of those bloopers.
I never make a mistake.
Ever.
Again, tune in on Monday. And
tune in on Monday. Check that out. Verify that.
I was gonna say, hey, Rocco, how late was Michael?
And Rocco's going to go back and edit it again and make sure the first outtake is me.
I believe the first outtake is you already.
Oh, that's awesome.
So
I think the beginning and the ending has you in it. So
wow. Look at that, Michael. Our love for you knows no bounds.
Thanks for making me look messed up all the time. I appreciate it.
It's the side view, right?
You should still make the entire intro and exit.
Did you put the part where I'm like doing the different mic angles and stuff?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
The side profile's hot, huh? That's what Ryan said.
I now officially regret being on the show.
So basically, Rock, are you saying that your screenshot's going to be of Michael?
It could be, Joe. It could be.
It could be.
The funny thing is, Michael came on, and we really do appreciate the fact he came on like last minute to help us with a segment. But the funny thing is, it took us like 20 minutes to get to recording the segment because we kept laughing so much.
Yeah,
like there was so much.
We were trying to start.
Going on.
Yeah,
Rocco's like, "Okay, I'm going to record again. Let's try this again." And then we just bust out laughing. It was so stupid. It was ridiculous.
We got into the show one time, and then I messed up. I don't even know what I was saying. It was so bad.
He just started talking. And then he goes,
talking, and then
just stop.
It fumbled so bad. I was like, nah, we're not doing that part. No.
That's some of the best stuff.
Yeah, bros, he was actually on time. Can you believe it?
And the request was, "Hey, can you do this?" I said, "When?" He said, "Now."
Wow, we're so organized over there. We're like, we need an expert for this topic. Let's get Michael on in 3 minutes.
Yep. See if he's available.
That's more on time than he is for his own streams.
I'm telling you, he was on time. He was like right there. So
well, I didn't have to be prepared for anything. I already knew the information, so it was easier.
I stand corrected.
That's the only time to get him. Michael, we need you now. Come on.
Right.
Yeah. Oh, let me check my calendar.
Yeah. I'll set it on. I'll put it on my schedule. I'll talk to my assistant.
Mm-hmm.
My interns will give you a call back.
That's the politest thing he's called you yet, Ryan.
What's that?
His assistant.
What's going on, Zeb? How you doing, Zeb? Well, sitting over there with that hair glued to your face.
Oh,
yeah.
Man.
Well, Zeb, I figured you were calling him an intern because he doesn't get paid for helping Michael out. So, you know.
I know all about internship.
Yeah, but think about all I'm learning.
I do too.
Wait,
I do too.
I gotta say, Zeb, you weren't there this week. It was pretty rough.
It was pretty rough without you, Zeb. We missed you.
Expensive, unpaid.
We did miss you.
Had a valid reason. Yeah.
He's invaluable, so we'll definitely.
That's why you pay me nothing. You can't work it out.
We can't work out how much to pay you. I mean, you are so valuable.
We're
that we
still
just...
copying the zeros down. On that check, you just keep going on and on.
And the problem is you started with a zero.
I was going to say the first one starts with a zero.
Absolutely, yeah.
Zero. And all the numbers in between are zero.
I mean, I always thought lots of zeros was a good thing. So
there is, but you got to have a different digit in front of them.
And the decimal point has to be really far away from the first number.
Is that what I got wrong?
That's when we give it to you, it's going to be on one of those big Oprah-like checks. You know, the big ones, the giant ones. Yeah, we're going to hand it to you in person.
Now it's going to say, you get a car. Hot Wheels.
I've worked out why they call me PZ. PZ.
Mm-hmm.
Short for Producer Zero.
Producer Zero.
Come on, man. We love you.
Yeah.
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 I've heard that before.
For some reason, that didn't feel like a
Was that sincere enough?
So, speaking of removing options, did you guys see that Gnome's going to remove the desktop icons?
Yeah.
Catch up.
Surprise! No takeaway feature.
That's why I say that with KDE taking that out. I mean, it's not like they're doing anything anybody else is not doing.
And they actually have a reason to do it.
Yeah, they don't have a reason. They don't have a valid reason.
Yes, they do. It's a security issue. It is.
What?
So what they're saying is they've let it.
Icons off?
No.
I'm saying that KDE has a reason for the security issue. No, GNOME doesn't have a reason at all.
GNOME has no reason to do anything it does, but
it's very insecure to have desktop icons, and that's why they're removing them for your safety.
That's right.
It depends. It depends on whether you're insecure about your own icons or not. And if that's the case, then I agree. GNOME made a good decision.
Well, I was going to say,
actually,
always one megapixel, 1 pixel off kind of concern. So.
That's right.
I was 1 pixel off this past show.
Well, now
that's in the bloopers too.
GNOME will look more like an iPad than ever. That's great.
Yeah.
So, and have they given a valid reason for removing it?
They gave many valid reasons of why they were removing them. None that I think are
valid
ones. Are good ones, but
they gave many valid reasons, but no valid ones.
I mean, they listed like multi-monitor support issues, more code to Nautilus, like different issues that they have with it. The fact that it's not maintained anymore, the feature that actually does that.
We have to like write code and stuff to support it, and we're like, nah.
That's a very good impression. It sounds like perfect.
So, yeah, they did give valid reasons, but, I mean...
But it's still pretty dumb. I mean, I'm not somebody who likes... In fact, I really don't like icons on my desktop because they're like a nice, clean desktop, except for I've got 3 little ones. But there are a lot of people who use them and like it there. I mean, It's just going to screw them over in a way.
Barb, they know what's best for you.
No, they
They'll
don't.
take care.
I know what's best for me. Notice I'm not using GNOME or GNOME.
Yeah. Well, I don't use desktop icons either. I don't like desktop icons.
No, I don't like the clutter.
No, I don't either. But the option should still be there, in my opinion.
Exactly.
But they've got a good search function. Yeah. They've got a good search function.
So and also, and you can't put your icons there, but you can have icons in the system. Oh wait.
Oh.
You gotta like code that and stuff. We're like, yeah, to that too. And you gotta support it and update it.
It was perfect. That's like I was there.
So, that's the GNOME roundtable of programmers.
Yeah. I was gonna say the more GNOME does stuff, the more Pantheon looks better and less locked down.
Yeah, you ain't lying. I mean, really, how much difference is there between lockdown settings between GNOME and Elementary?
Elementary actually supports systems, right?
And icons.
But with Elementary, you can very easily open it up again, though.
Well, you can, but I find, at least in the past when I tried to, the more you open up, the more issues you have with it. Like, it doesn't work as stable as it does when you just let it the way it is.
Don't let English Bob hear you say that.
Elementary team themselves.
I'm assuming you didn't watch his last rant.
No, I didn't.
No, don't watch it. It's not polite.
So it's like one of my videos.
Yeah, I made a comment on that rant. I don't know if he appreciated it or not. But
what was the gist of the rant?
He's fed up with people knocking on Elementary because you say you can't use it, and yet within writing 6 commands in terminal, it's all opened up and working again.
Well, yeah, it is all opened up. But like I said, you run into issues down the road when you open it up. Or let's put it this way, I have.
Well, I mean, also the fact that if you can't really argue that something is good because you have to make it not limited in order to make it good. That's a weird argument.
No, it's just a different ethos on what you consider to be good. They obviously love what they've done, and people just install it and use it.
Right. They like their intent. He's saying that the people don't like it because it's locked down, but you can unlock it or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But that's not saying it's good. That's saying it's good when you do these other things. And that when if you have to say it's only good when you're doing these other things, that's problematic right there. I mean, that's not a reason to say it's good. That's a reason to acknowledge the fact that there are missing mishaps and lacking features and lacking functionality in some cases. Like,
yeah, no, he's not saying it's good. He's just saying stop knocking it because it's really, really easy to make it good. It takes you
again. If it requires you to make it good, then what's the point about saying that it's like? Why can't you knock it? Is my point.
It's
GNOME is great when you change everything about it.
Stop knocking Hannah Montana because you can make it whatever you want.
Exactly.
GNOME 2 is actually
you can party in the USA.
But doesn't that contrary to everything? There's 4 words that's English Bob loves to say: out of the box. And
yeah.
I get your point, Zeb, but to Michael's point is if you don't have something out of the box that just does what it's supposed to do and you have to do those things, that's where the conflicts come in. Well, to me, I don't know that it should be that important of an issue to be really even wasting that much breath on. I mean, Elementary is for those who want to use it like any other distro. And, I even, I remember you were saying, we were kind of, I don't want to use the word ripping because it wasn't quite ripping, but FreeSpire didn't get the most favorable conversation last week, and yet I took a quick look at it, and honestly, it doesn't look all that bad. If they put these on those Walmart computers, whatever they're going to have, but I mean, it really doesn't look that bad to me, anyway.
All I'm going to say about the whole FreeSpire or Linspire thing is that entire name has a lot of baggage and history attached to it, so that's why I probably That's why it gets a lot of flack.
That's why the first version they released was version 7, because they tried to adopt the old version.
What's Elementary's target audience anyway? I thought it was newer users, or is it not?
Yeah.
No, it's Mac. It's Mac and Windows convert switchers, whatever you want to call them. That is the audience. So the lockdown, quote unquote, one size fits all nature that they're going for, it was essentially what they do with Pantheon, fits into the ethos of the people coming from those, Mac OS and Windows mentality. Because
I think it's more of it's Mac OS, definitely. I think it's more, but the Windows side, it's people who are like Windows users but want something Mac-ish but aren't willing to spend the money for Mac.
Well, what I mean is that one size fits all mentality. This is like, here are the options, have fun, and very little in that way.
Yeah. And my opinion on Elementary is, and I use Luna, and I probably wouldn't be distro hopping today if it didn't change, because Luna was just excellent. And then I so looked forward to, what was it? The Freya was the next one. And with each new release, it was more and more disappointing to what Luna was. And they just took things away. And then they brought in the pay system and all that. I've got no problem with that. But, if you're going to have a pay system, at least have a welcome screen, something that tells you how the system works, some sort of thing that points you in a direction that helps you install things that you're not unaware of, that you can't install. Because I'm sure there must be some people that come from Windows that go, I can't get a burner working, or I can't write a disk, or I can't do this and that. And there's nothing there that they used to have a really, really good website that told you all these things, and that vanished. So, and for a pay system, I think it should be better. And I like Elementary, don't get me wrong, but I just think they're lacking these features, considering they're asking for some donations and all that. And that's all well and good. And I'm happy that they do that, because they're supporting these developers work hard. But surely they've got to have some things in place. There's distros you can get for free that have great welcome screens that help the new user. So that's just my opinion anyway. But
I agree.
Anyway.
Yeah, I agree with you.
I do too.
I mean, I made a big giant thing on Reddit, article on Reddit. Essentially, it's an article explaining why I have a problem with Elementary. I don't really have that doesn't really apply anymore, because they kind of redeemed some of it. But there was like 20 different things of like, here's why I disagree with them. Here's sources to why I disagree with them, and all this other stuff. I still heavily disagree with their payment structure. Like the whole, you can put 0 in, so that means you're not forced to pay for it. Except you imply that they are, because no one's going. The people who put 0 in from the Windows side or the Mac side are thinking they're gaming the system. When you're supposed to be like on the open source aspect of saying, you can do this if you want. Instead, you're making it where they have to think they're tricking you.
Yeah.
Little guilt complex, basically. That's the way it feels. The first time I started looking at Linux, and you seen a window like that, even Ubuntu back then in the day too, and they probably still have it, where you get to the bottom of the screen and you have the 0 out it was always at a $2 default, starting point. You had to 0 it out to bypass it if you wanted to, and it's like that little tinge of a guilt trip.
And the Ubuntu way is not as bad, because Ubuntu, I don't know when you did it and when they added this, because I don't remember, but they added a link that says just take me to the download for free.
Right.
So
it was right there. It was
underneath the form, you can, instead of zeroing out everything, you could just click the button that says take me
to the download.
Right, but I'm talking a while ago anyway. But it's
possible.
It speaks to your principle that you know, instead of just having a 0, and if you want to donate, then bring it up to whatever, versus the other way around, having it default. It's really not that big of a deal, but somebody coming over might feel awkward.
It's not that big of a deal, but it's frustrating to have to deal with that kind of thing, but it's not the worst. I mean, there are plenty of other distros that have many big problems that I disagree with. So,
but Elementary is one of those distros that, again, you go back to that you take it what they give you. just like GNOME. You take what they give you, or you go to something else. I think Elementary is beautiful.
I agree.
It's probably one of the best looking distros out there, but I'm not running it.
Yeah. But that wasn't it also one of the complaints about it though, Rocco, was that it was very pretty looking, but very limited.
Can be.
Well, yeah. I mean, you're pretty much locked down to only get what they give you, and that's not what I want to use. That's not why I'm on Linux. If I want that, I'll go to Windows.
Matter of fact, when I first had heard about Elementary a while back, they were saying, if you want to have a distro to put your kids on, that's the one to put them on, because it was so minimalized in some ways. It was polished, but yet easy for. I don't want to use the word sounding offensive, but simple-minded. Kids who don't care. They just want to push a button and go.
Somebody said that in the Telegram group, or one of the Telegram groups, that they were wondering what to put on their girlfriend's computer because she was scared she was going to break it or something. I can't remember.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
And I told them to put Elementary on because she can't break it.
Yeah. But then again, if your name's Ryan,
yeah,
I could break it. Let me have my hands on it. Destroy that thing. I tried Elementary a couple of times. I see the point of it. I like it. I think it's converted a lot of people to Linux. So I disagree that it's a bad thing. I think some of the stuff they're doing is pushing what we all know or think of as, with their pay systems and things like that. At the end of the day, I know super experienced developers and folks could use Elementary. I think most people, unless you're a developer for Elementary who have that kind of skill, probably won't be on Elementary. So, I mean, I think it's there as one of those jumping pads for Linux. And as long as you leave it at that, I don't see any problem with it.
I agree. It's not. It's just weird that people I just don't like the idea that people think that it's they're gaming the system when they're doing that. Maybe it's a good thing that they think that. I don't know. Maybe they think that it makes them think that the system's worth more, and they're just kind of getting away with something. I don't know. It just seems weird to me in that particular example. But the rest of it, as far as it's for people who just want basic usage and don't have to worry about everything. I agree. That's a good thing that we do need to have. And we kind of did have that with Ubuntu, and then now that's no longer an option. So at least not right now. Because I can't suggest Ubuntu right now because there's just so much confusion around there.
Got a Lenovo?
I mean, no, okay, that Lenovo thing is not fair. Because
I know it was a bug in the kernel.
Well, it's not even. It's not even that. It's most distros that had that bug activated all had that problem. Canonical has a lot more users. So.
I know.
It was interesting that. I don't know if I've seen it before. It actually brought out a point release on one of the interims. So Ubuntu has now issued 17.10.1.
As did Mate, Ubuntu Mate.
Did they? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So when did they take they originally took the download link away.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
When did they add it back? Because it was added back the
11th.
The 11th. Yeah.
Now, I think it was before that. Because I went to download it, and the download was there, but the big red box was there saying, if you have a Lenovo.
Was it the updated download? Because I know with Ubuntu Mate, they didn't have that there until
No, it wasn't the updated one. This was
thing. Yeah.
This was the original download, but they gave you the warning saying, hey, if you have a Lenovo. But I thought they had removed the download altogether.
They did. There was a download that's you can still get 1604 download, but the 1710 download was removed, and it just had a little message that says you can't have it.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. A day or two later, and that's why I'm asking when did they put it back on? A day or two later, you were able to download 1710. It just gave you a message saying, if you have a Lenovo laptop, don't put this on your system or something.
I don't know. Maybe that was
on the Ubuntu Mate website. They had that there, and then just a couple of days ago, you couldn't. They still had the 1710, but you couldn't download it. But before that, you could. They had the big warning and everything, but you could click on it and download the 1710 ISO.
If it's a new ISO image, can't you just go to the download FTP site and see what date it is?
Yeah, but as far as like when they put the link up and when the actual ISO was made, it would be different.
So they didn't put up a new ISO; they just reopened it because they knew it would be patched as you downloaded it. Sort of thing.
No, it's definitely a new ISO. I'm just saying, like Rocco was saying that it could have been like the download could have been put up before the ISO was available, and it still had the warning. So they might have screwed up as far as like coordinating the release of the button versus the ISO thing.
Yeah, well, it seemed like it was I was assuming that it was still the one that wasn't fixed. Like they just released the one that was fixed, like what, 2 days ago?
Yeah,
this was like a couple days ago. Like I'm talking like 4 or 5 days ago. That you could still download 1710, the old one, before it was fixed, but they gave you a warning saying that you shouldn't download it if you have a Lenovo laptop.
I know that Ubuntu Mate was like that.
Yeah.
And they had the big warning, but you could still download the 1710. And now it's the 1710.1.
Yeah.
But there was like a day or two where you couldn't, like the 10th and the 11th.
Yep.
You know what's interesting? You're talking about these distro release periods. I have been seeing on some other tech channels I follow some discussion about Windows from particularly service tech type people saying, the problem with this ongoing OS that they have is that if you have to work on it and you ask somebody, okay, which Windows 10 do you have? They go, well, it's Windows 10. And people don't know to go 1709, which is, September 2017 or whatever. And I'm just curious if you're going to start eventually seeing release points for them as well on that side of it, because of now that there's more discussion happening about it. It's kind of curious and interesting, I thought. Because for us, when we talk about Linux distro and you talk about 1604 or 1610 or, whatever, when those releases are.
No, I think they have their build number. That you can check out the build number, can't you? Within Windows number, I'm pretty sure.
You can look it up, but most people, the average user, doesn't know that. Where people who come to Linux, even I think somebody who's just starting for the first time, quickly learns what those numbers mean. It's just because it's there right out of the gate.
No, there's a lot of distros that people don't understand. There's people who still don't understand the structure of Ubuntu.
Open source.
Well, yeah, but I'm saying in general, I think the masses are still going to be more apt to be able to.
Oh, this is a higher number. This is the newer thing.
Yeah,
probably.
Yeah.
Because
there is a number after the distro usually.
Yeah, I mean, as long as they don't do the whole code name thing,
right?
It should be fine. I mean, that's a good point. That they, even if they don't know what it means or why they get the numbers the way they do, they know that the higher number is a newer version or something.
Right. And most of them, I think most people will eventually, or when I say eventually, I'm talking fairly quickly, learn that an 04 is usually a long-term support or the more stable, because there's enough discussion about that. That's why I thought when I started seeing more of these other tech people that they actually have PC businesses or whatever starting to have discussions about this, apparently it's becoming a real problem.
It's interesting because that's a good point, because they have to do snapshot releases for updates and stuff. So how do they know what version someone has if they have all the snapshots and stuff? Because some people are going to refuse.
It's more difficult to troubleshoot something, especially if you don't have the machine in your hand and you're trying to do something over the phone, and if you don't get basically a connection to them to be able to look inside their system, it's it's not that it's impossible to guide somebody through it, but you talk about somebody, you get grandma, well, all she knows how to do is turn it on and push a couple of icons to get where she wants to go. She's not going to know how to get into the system information or whatever, even if you try to walk her through it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I don't mean that disrespectfully. I'm just saying somebody who has no clue, they just want to know that they can turn it on and have it work, and they're having an issue, and they call somebody and say, I've got this problem. So just short of bringing the computer in, you can't, there's no real phone support for somebody like that, because it's going to be, you'll spend more time screwing around trying to explain it to them.
Well, what you do is you tell them to open up Dolphin and right click and hit open as root.
Yeah.
Oh no, you can't do that.
No, you tell them
That's okay. That's okay. They just need to put it. They just need to put that on the desktop. Oh wait.
No, they can't do that either.
I'm just wondering.
We can put a shortcut on the desktop. Oh, okay.
Scan on Plasma.
With all the Spectre meltdown, do you think Linux Mint has learned anything about their?
Colin, you didn't bring up Linux Mint. Michael here, did you?
Well, it's been crossing my mind.
How much time do we have?
Wait, what did you say the other day, Zeb? Brian.
Well, if you want a really interesting video on Spectre and Meltdown, there's a guy, Steve Gibson from GRC. If you can just ignore the plethora of adverts. I don't know if you can collaborate this, Michael, but he was saying that this was first known about when they were first designing the new Intel chips from about, like, I don't know, 25, 30 years ago, that people said, hang on a minute, guys, if we go this route, this is a possibility that this might happen and people will be able to hack into this. And then they said, nah, that's just too difficult. They'll never do that. Not thinking that in 30 years' time, it won't be that difficult.
Yeah.
Yeah, because
he has a one-word answer for it. Wow.
The design flaw, like, is in the patent description. The way that it was explained, in 1995, basically, is when the first thing was released. But it was like explained in like 94, 93. And there's a potential where, like, they were saying, like, this could be a problem in the future, and they were like, nah, it's never gonna happen. But it's the funny thing is that they're using technology. They're using a form of execution structure that was created in the 60s. That when it was created was intended to be used in, like, mainframes that were in an intranet and never touched the internet. So it would be okay for those to have that speculative execution.
Well, that's true. Back in the 90s, you didn't have the internet, and then when you did, people went on there just to do a little research and find something and get off because it was so expensive to even be there at the time, too. So,
yeah, unfortunately, that it has been around for a while. The problem that arising from this is not exactly all the way back. Like, there are some, like, people are saying that since 1995, all processors are flawed. It's not necessarily true for all since 1995, but since 1995, the problem has been available in a certain series, and the more time that goes by, the more and more series use that problem, which creates it. So, like, technically, if you say, Intel stuff since 1995, that's true. If you say all Intel stuff since 1995, that's not true.
Michael, we paid you a lot of money to get an exclusive for Destination Linux. Oh, stop giving it away.
Oh.
I mean, the check's still in the mail.
The check's in the mail. I mean,
so
you didn't get it yet.
So about Spectre and Meltdown is go to the Patreon/Destination Linux and you
just so you know, it's in the Yahoo mail, so anyone could get it.
So Michael's actually added a couple of zeros on top of Zeb's zeros, not realizing it's the zero at the start or what?
Look, I'm not an accountant, okay?
To raise extra money to pay you guys, we're going on the street with Will Podcast for money signs this weekend. So.
Right? I was going to say, Rocco, I forgot to add any number 1 through 9,
But isn't that what ACC stands for? I can't count.
Hey, look who we have, Rocco, who joined us.
Dustin,
what's up, man?
Hey, boys. How's it going?
This is my Rust buddy, man. We've been playing Rust like crazy today, and we've been doing pretty good. We haven't, because he made his own server and nobody can kill us.
Nobody wants to.
We're doing amazing.
I was gonna say I have my doubts whether you were actually doing pretty good.
Oh, we're doing. Don't you join, Michael, to kill us?
To be fair, actually, I'm very terrible at that game. So
there was a ferocious bear that killed me, but other than that, we've survived.
No, you're forgetting about the boar that killed me twice.
Yes, but I avenged you with a spear.
You did. That's good.
Get back here, boar.
That's a fun game.
It is an insane amount of time, though. I totally didn't realize how long we were playing that for.
Yeah.
And to where we ended up at the end.
Our kids are in the background like, can you feed us, Papa?
No.
I'm currently trying to gather food for this digital person. It doesn't
Right. Go away.
We're trying to kill a boar.
I'm trying to feed my virtual self.
And failing.
Yeah.
So have you got out of that?
Kind of winds up
yet?
with the little mini skeletons in the back of you 12 hours later, right?
They'll be fine.
Sure. Dustin, what have you been up to, man? Besides playing Rust?
I don't know. Trying to snap Krita and banging my head over on the corner of the wall.
Sounds about right.
He's gone. No.
It's frozen.
Yeah, they just look the way they said. It's like got a big crazy framework around it, and I'm trying to get my head wrapped around it because I had a working version that was older, and then had to change the way it works, and so it's kind of a learning process again. So, but they ditched it, and so it was going stagnant. So I just sort of picked it up, and I'm trying to get it back out there.
Nice. Do you have Are you doing a classic snap or a regular snap?
Right now, well, I haven't gotten that far because it's still in dev mode right now.
Okay.
But I'll work to get it as far back as I can, because that's obviously the goal is if you can get it down to strict, you're going to put it in strict. But
yeah,
if
sure.
if there's some showstopper, like any IDE,
Frozen again.
Yeah, he's got.
He'll come back.
Never going to work without.
See,
I'm back. I'm here. Woo! I don't know. I never left on my side.
Yeah, he froze a little bit.
He froze a little bit, but it's all good.
Oh, well, maybe I'll have to get closer to a router.
Yeah. So obviously,
Right at Rocco's house, he's got a wonderful connection there.
Oh my gosh.
Well, you got it figured out, whatever it was.
Well, we did change some OBS settings this week. Ryan went through some of them with me and kind of like took everything off that was pretty much back to default, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
And so now it's working okay. I don't think nobody's been complaining in the chat that it's been buffering.
We had one person right at the beginning, that was all.
Yeah.
And that may have been on their end too, because I suggested changing the settings in there. Sometimes they have to go down to a lower setting, because I run into that sometimes on channels I watch from time to time. If I adjust it on my end, and so I don't know what causes that, but
They also could have been just trolling you.
Kitty in the picture.
Kitty in the picture. Yep. Yeah. Hey, they're good for comic relief. What can I say?
Okay.
They take turns, if you notice. It's not always the same one.
I am literally going closer to my router.
Nice.
Oh, he's sitting in the closet.
Give him a complex.
I was going to say he's in a closet.
Yeah.
Not quite, man.
So
Barbara, then, what you need to do, Barbara, is take some pictures of your cats and put them in for the Fedora 28 wallpaper contest.
Oh, maybe I will. I've had some of them are interesting. They're kind of cute, but.
Mm-hmm. So is anybody going to go in for that contest? Is anybody a budding wallpaper maker?
Does anybody use Fedora?
No.
English Bob is. He put one in there. I don't know.
but Chicken, he should put in. He should put in. He's actually got one in Solus. So
where is he today?
I don't know. I invited him. He didn't ever respond to me. So
he's probably busy disco hopping again.
Yeah, he's on his 10th disc drive for the day.
Sometimes I don't think that guy sleeps, dude.
I don't think he does. I really don't.
That sounds like something I'd do. Inviting and then they don't show.
Yeah.
Come on, it's only been how many months in the making? I don't know. Quite a few.
That's not self-incriminating at all.
No, not at all.
Is Ryan still with us? Ryan,
he's hiding in the background. His kids will probably come in.
He probably used the wrong keyboard.
I'm here, guys.
Oh,
what you need? What you need?
I was gonna say I was gonna say, Ryan, did you use the wrong keyboard shortcut for i3?
Oh, that's cute.
No, he's making a Fedora wallpaper based on i3.
Yes, I'm trying to enter the competition right now.
No, he's just trying to install i3 on Fedora.
I was watching Dust Gregor.
He was just trying to install Fedora.
I was going to say that, but I'm not going to do it. I'll let Matt do it. He's going to do it for me.
Dos Gregor's running Linux from scratch with i3.
Yes, absolutely.
Did you see his video? It took him, a week or something to install Linux from scratch, or what? He reckons it's harder than Gentoo.
It is.
So it must be hard.
That's kind of the point.
Linux from scratch, it does take at least a week, yes.
But is it harder than Gentoo because he's a Gentoo guy?
Oh, it's hard. It's harder than Gentoo regardless. But if you're not a Gentoo guy, it's a ton of work. If you've never used Arch and you go to Gentoo seems ridiculous. If you've never used Gentoo and you go to Linux from scratch, it seems impossible.
So what if I'm like a guy that's never done either?
Start with Arch.
It would be
like a month.
Don't waste your time.
It's like a month.
Einstein. Yeah.
It'll be probably about a month, because you're like with Arch, you're learning a core structure of how the system works, but in a more guided way, in a non-compile way. And then with Gentoo, you're learning even more specifics about compiling different software and doing the different flags for like what type of flags you want for your kernel and stuff like that. So you're learning even deeper. And then Linux from scratch is you do everything. There's no builds, there's no nothing. You do literally everything, and it will take you a very long time. And also, it's not a intro; it's a book that just tells you how to build everything.
Take the Arch wiki and multiply it.
He tried to install one app, and he missed one dependency, and he had to start again.
There's no dependency management.
It's absolutely crazy.
That
I don't know
how.
how.
So much fun.
Go to your pantry right now, get a box of toothpicks, start sticking them on your fingernails now, and you'll
Yeah, exactly.
If you're a Gentoo like enthusiast, it would take about a week to do Linux from scratch. If you are just an average user, it would take you at least a month. Like,
but I'm sure you could right click and open root.
You can make it do whatever you want. And if you want that, it'll have a desktop icons, it'll have system tray, it can have everything. It'll just take you a month to get to that point.
And you won't get that month back.
No.
I am a testament to how long it'll take.
And don't miss that one dependency, or else you'll have absolutely nothing.
So Rocco,
this year.
Rocco, we'll see you next month.
Yeah, exactly. No, there's no time for that, dude. No time for that at all.
Yeah, I got mine to boot into I did Linux from scratch years ago after I've already done Arch and Gentoo, and it took me about 2 weeks. But I think I compiled like the smallest amount of stuff I could just to get it to boot, and then I installed OpenBox, so like the smallest desktop style in Window Manager I could, and then as soon as it booted, I was like, okay, it works. I am done forever.
Never again.
Yep.
Yeah.
Just to say that you did it.
Yep. Just so I could give you that story and never touch it.
Yeah.
Well, you've thoroughly convinced me to never try.
Me neither.
I wish someone had told me how long it would take. I didn't realize how long it was going to take until after halfway through. I was like, I'm a week in. I'm not even close. And
so out of those people on the screen, that's 1 in 10 who's tried it.
Yeah, pretty much.
And I'm telling you, never do it.
And it'll pretty
Never do it.
It'll pretty much stay 1 in 10 too. I think with the group of people.
What he's not telling you is the hardest part of it wasn't doing all the coding and all that stuff. It was trying to figure out i3, right, Michael?
Oh no, I went to OpenBox.
Oh, OpenBox. Well,
yeah,
that's for plebs.
Well, no, it's because some people require, a mouse to move things.
That's so quaint.
I know, right?
So isn't using keyboard shortcuts, but hey.
Well, you can find those keyboard shortcuts, but
on your conky.
on your conky.
Unless you use something that doesn't have that.
Yes.
For those of you that
I
are
use
visual
IP
beings,
without having that.
Start a comparison for visual beings who want to know what does it mean. Well, if you start out trying to learn Arch, you'll look like Michael with the amount of hair he has, but you'll look like me when you're done.
There you go.
That's how you can tell who's a veteran.
Yeah.
I've pulled out some hair when in doing that.
Rocco, I've got to call you out on your own channel, man.
Here we go.
Oh, what's
Listen,
going on?
I know for a fact. I've known you a long time. We've become good friends, if you want to call it that. And I can see it in your.
I was gonna say I think Rocco tolerates you at this point.
That's how you give a compliment and a punch at the same time.
Hey, Peter Jackson,
right.
quit talking. Listen.
What now?
I can just see it in your eye, Rocco, that I know you're about to distro hop.
You think?
Where are you going, man? I know you're distro hopping this week. Tell us. I know when he's about to do it. You can feel it.
You
He's
can
not
feel
going
it.
to.
He goes quiet about the distro he's on. You won't hear him talk about it, and then you know he's about to hop.
You know I'm quiet about the distro that I'm on?
Yes, you don't talk about Ubuntu Mate very much.
Do you know why?
Why?
Because
it just works.
But you said the same thing about
because I
Soul
don't have
a couple weeks
nothing
ago.
to complain about.
Hold on.
Because
Which
everything
distro
just
are you
works.
on? Which distro are you on right now?
Ubuntu Mate.
Wait a minute. Did you not in your
No,
year-end
I didn't.
show
No,
called
no,
Solus up here?
no,
Wait a minute.
you're crazy, dude.
Dude, you didn't even last like 3 days.
He didn't even last 2017.
It wasn't even 24 hours after that video.
I know that you've been gone and you haven't been around, but we already established the fact that there's no possible way that it could actually be a prediction if it was made and broken before the new year.
You established that.
You said that.
I was going to say.
agree. I agree.
I thought you were going to stay on one distro for the year, Rocco.
It wasn't. It wasn't the year yet, though.
That's ridiculous, Barb.
I know. You just can't handle it. That's all.
Rocco, my favorite part is nobody in chat is challenging that you're gonna hop. They're all giving you recommendations because they know. Like, hey, Rocco, try this one, because we know you're hopping too.
Yeah. Let's see.
Let's see. Solus,
Somebody says Solus, but he just left.
Rocco, you bought the gym membership and threw it in the garbage before it even hit midnight.
Before it even turned the new year.
Yep.
It was
Dude,
done.
he didn't even make it 12 hours before that prediction was
No, he went to go get his gym membership and then didn't even work out that day. He's like, okay, thanks, guys. Bye.
I had enough, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah, but the only reason that all happened is because he broke it.
Yes.
Yeah, because he was trying to install Lightworks.
Yep.
So
And then, well, I would have reinstalled it had the Wi-Fi drivers worked, but I couldn't get them to work.
Fishman loves Linux, says Rocco's gonna hop.
Yes, he says I dare you, Rocco.
To what, Fish? To what, man?
Somebody else is suggesting.
Hannah Montana.
Ski.
Enter Ghost
Ski.
is his number one recommendation right now, Rocco.
The best part is you always end up on one of the same 6.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I've been on KD Neon. I've been on Gnome.
Interrogos.
I've been on Interrogos. I've been on Mate. I've been on. Actually, I was on Revenge OS for a little bit.
Well, hold on. Quantify a little bit.
A day or two.
Yeah.
That's
No.
not
No.
enough.
I'm talking about the repeat offenders here, the ones that you cycle back through about every.
I've been on
weeks.
Ubuntu Budgie. I've been on Solus. I've been on. No, I can't say that I've been on Mint.
There you go.
Oh, man.
Man,
Smart
there you go.
choice.
That's
He
what
nailed
I've
it.
done.
Think about the hatred Michael would have for you if you go to Mint. It would be.
I've been on Ubuntu.
You tried Manjaro for a
But
challenge.
now,
I did try. I was on Manjaro for a while. Yeah.
Hold on. Now, how many of these have you run for more than 2 weeks, though?
None.
Nothing.
Just like,
At least he's being honest, Dustin.
why didn't you buy?
So you kind of paused at about 6, which is exactly the number I said.
Yes.
Well,
Hey, guys, I have an idea. We could all do a challenge for Antergos.
Yeah,
that's a great idea.
As long as you turn up next week.
No, I won't be here if you guys do it. Something's come up.
I was going to say, hey, Ryan, you can do Nix OS, buddy.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, Ryan, you
Linux from scratch.
Yeah, thank you. I was just trying to say that.
That's all right.
You guys definitely won't see me next weekend then.
My suggestion for
how about Gen 2?
My suggestion for Matt's in this week's Destination Linux. So you'll have to wait till Monday to hear it.
Oh man.
Pins and needles.
Or go to patreon.com/systems.
I was going to say, good thing I'm already patron.
Well, I don't think anybody's getting it early tomorrow because I'm still in the process of editing it. So I don't think it's going to be an early thing tomorrow.
No, you're not. You're on here, man.
Yeah, I know. Well, yeah, exactly. I was editing it up until this. So we'll see.
I'm sitting here counting in your background, Rocco, how many times I can count Big Daddy.
Well,
it's called self-promotion.
Every time he hops, he puts a new Big Daddy logo.
Well, it's because all his merchandise is everywhere, just like Linux is everywhere.
touchdigital.com/Big Daddy Linux.
There you go.
I mean, or you can just go to BigDaddyLinux.com. One or the other. Just saying.
Either one's good. Good option.
Talking of big Linux is everywhere. Teespring redeemed themselves last week after initially saying, "No way, Jose, are you getting your customs money back because we cocked up the VAT." In the very next email, they went, "Oh, we've issued it a refund." So they gave me my £14.93 back, which was really cool.
Nice.
That's awesome.
So, Rocco, what are you going to?
What are you going to
do? Dude, you guys are a bad influence because I don't need to go anywhere. I mean, like...
Rocco, I gave you some solid recommendations.
Ubuntu Mate's working perfectly fine.
Which is why you're going to hop. That's why you're hopping.
You're ready to hop for that.
There's no reason to switch.
That's what you said about Solus like 3 days ago.
Thank you.
Last week
well, it was working fine until I broke it.
Well, then you shouldn't have.
And then it.
Crap, my car. Crap, my car died. I better go buy a new one.
Yep.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
Yep.
Hey, I tried to fix it. I couldn't. So.
I needed the Wi-Fi drivers.
I needed to have the computer up and running. You know, I got podcasts to do. I got live streams to do. So I can't have the computer down and wait like 3 days to fix it. So I got to have something.
Are you guys noticing a theme here? He installed Elementary. He tweaked it. He broke it.
It broke.
He installed Solus.
He tweaked it.
He broke it.
I think Ryan's becoming an influence on you, Rocco.
Very possible. Very possible.
Now, wait a minute. We've all said this before. If you're a true Linux enthusiast, you're going to break the system. I've done that too because earlier last year, that's what I did. I was on Linux Mate for how many months until I broke it, and then I went over to regular Ubuntu Mate, and I've been there ever since.
I have a question. Of all the times you broke it, how many times did it involve opening your file manager as root?
Probably every time.
So anyway, what is the suggestions out there?
For your next hop?
Somebody just suggested Gen 2 for you there, Rocco.
I said that to him before, yeah.
No, that's not going to.
Oh, come on. Use like Sabian or something. Use a pre-compiled version.
Calculate Linux is almost there now. It's almost usable.
I mean, obviously, the only choice you have right now, really, that's like a genuine, is Red Core Linux.
Right.
Red Core
Linux.
How about some Linspire? You got your $90?
Mm-hmm.
Linspire.
No. Linspire/FreeSpire.
Which is it, Red Core or Red Star? Which one's North Korea?
Red Star, I think.
We're gonna go Star on that one.
Probably Red Star.
Yeah. Red Core is based on
Gentoo.
I'll go Rosa.
Gentoo?
I think Gentoo.
Oh.
Okay. Yeah, Rosa 10, and surprisingly for me, Rosa 10 LXQT.
No Bionic Beaver.
Karora.
No, that's 1804.
I know.
Karora is a good option because it's the only way.
What about
Barb.
Yes. What about Gecko Linux, which is OpenSUSE that's nice.
That's
Okay, so if you install Gecko Linux, do you have internet?
Yes, you do.
Because like you don't have internet.
Yes, because I do.
You don't need internet.
No, I'm saying with regular
SUSE.
SUSE.
SneakerNet.
That's what I say about the Bionic Beaver. Right now, it's a daily release, so if it's broken from the start, he has no worries because then he can blame it on them.
Right.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. That's cool.
Think about how secure you'll be with no internet.
Come on, Rocco. Come on, Rocco. We got Alpha 2 coming Feb 1, man. Come on.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I like alphas, dude.
Yeah, Alpha 2 Feb 1.
Install Gecko Linux.
But
tweak it.
Yeah, Gecko Linux.
Wait, I'm looking.
Seriously.
That's like 3 weeks away, man.
Yeah.
That's I don't know if I can.
You'll hop 6 times in between that.
Yeah.
Well, it's okay. You always come full circle anyways, so.
Yep.
So if we time this right, we'll get you at Alpha 2, Beta 1, Beta 2, final release.
What are you gonna do?
What are you gonna do?
Sorry.
Hop. That's what you're gonna do.
That's what I'm gonna
do.
do.
Yeah, I was gonna say you're gonna distro hop.
No, I'm gonna stay right where I'm at. I'm gonna stay right where I'm at because I don't have to worry about anything breaking.
Nice.
Is this your new prediction for 2018?
No, it's not a prediction. No, it's not.
I can't wait to get the telegram. Guess what? I'm hopping. I love when I get those.
And functionality is so good, you don't have to tweak it. That's what it is, isn't it?
Look, everything is right where I haven't changed anything in the last couple of days. Nothing.
In the last couple of days. No.
So is this proving Zeb's theory, is it, or what?
I don't know.
I sure hope you changed your undergarments.
I'm talking on the desktop, dude.
Last time you're on Mate, why did you leave it?
I had no reason to leave it. I wanted to try. I wanted to try the new GNOME out. That's why.
Because they took away more features.
No, because I like GNOME. GNOME is like very cool.
With extensions.
Yes, with extensions.
Anybody interested in Anna's taking bets?
There's no reason to bet.
Hey, Ryan, the next time he distros hops and tells you in Telegram, you have to pin that in the chat group.
Problem is, he'll just pin mine right back. Literally, I'm hopping too. So it's like, he'll send me a message like, I'm hopping. I'm like, oh, me too. Where are you going? Usually it's the opposite of where I left. So I figure he's going arch merge.
I think you should try the one with the poker chip again.
Well, see, Brian, you tell us that you're going to hop regardless. He's telling us he's not going to. This is the difference.
Rocco, we need you to come clean, brother.
Wait. Anna Rita said I should be a Linux distro beta tester.
Yeah, you are kind of.
I am.
Yeah, you pretty much are. You just got to hit the beta once.
Yeah, well, and I can make anything a beta.
Arch merge, Rocco.
I was gonna say so can't Ryan, but
I can break them.
I like XFCE. XFCE just doesn't like me. That's all.
Or your monitors, or your hardware.
So
have you tried Arch merge though on your setup? No,
not lately. No.
Everyone who thinks Rocco should go try Arch merge, raise your hand.
Rocco's not trying Arch on his main.
Look at that! All those people want you to try Arch merge. Are you going to listen to your fans who love you?
I will try it on a separate hard drive, but I will not try it on my main drive. Otherwise, if I was going to go Arch, I would go back to like Manjaro or something, or Intergos.
Oh, whoa!
I would, because
is it a challenge?
No, it's not a challenge, but. You know, Intergos had
that didn't go so well.
Issues in the last time I tried to install it, but I ran it for a long time, at least a month. Before.
I got a lot of people on my channel wanting me to go back to Manjaro, so I may have to actually move one of my machines to it here. I just had a lot of problems with it back when it seems every Arch distribution was pretty much having issues a couple months back. Back in the Intergos challenge disaster.
I don't know why. Like, I don't know if I'm just lucky, but like I ran Intergos for like 2 years, no problems. Like everything I go to is really problem free.
They got a good GNOME version,
like, compatible with Linux and stuff.
What's that?
I assume you have hardware that's like pretty much compatible in like every aspect, right?
Well, I mean, the desktop's just a mishmash of whatever. I mean, the laptop's a Lenovo. I don't even know which one. It's a X1 Carbon Gen 4, so it's a little older. But so yeah, I guess everything would be in the kernel. The only thing I think that doesn't work is the fingerprint reader, but that's not a surprise.
And did you have the Lenovo problem?
No. I was actually on 1710 for quite a while before that even popped out. So
yeah, and I never had it either because I popped it on my Lenovo laptop after your episode of Destination Linux, and it just went straight on and worked.
Is your model one of the ones that was affected or no?
I can't recall because it's an English model, so there weren't very many European models up there.
Right.
All these manufacturers just tweak their specs ever so slightly for the different countries they go into. So
it's too easy to keep it the same.
The funny thing is when we did that challenge that Ryan went MIA on. No offense.
Conveniently, I'm still right.
The only one that I thought ran the best, ironically, was the cinnamon flavor of it because I tried the XFCE. It was ugly as sin. Then I went to Mate, which this would work. So I went to cinnamon and it worked beautiful. But I didn't have quite the same problems everybody else did. But I ran it on a little 64 gig dongle and it's been fine. So
the design work on Antergos is not created equal, to be fair.
It's just the installer was a problem. The installer had issues. There's nothing wrong with Antergos when it's running, except for the look of XFCE. That's a little bit.
You ain't lying though, Colin, because the XFCE version is really bad. I mean, I think it looks worse than default XFCE.
That's a monstrosity, that thing. But I mean, but the Antergos itself runs fine. It was just the installer. But after that challenge, for some reason, they brought out another. They released another ISO. So and I'm running it on this laptop that had nothing but problems, installed flawlessly. And I've still got it on
why that is, Colin. That's because they watched this podcast and they learned something.
Maybe.
I can tell you why they did it if you want.
Sorry?
I can tell you why they did it.
Oh, yeah, I'm interested.
Because they do it every month.
Okay.
Way to take away the thunder, Michael. I was trying to give this.
Boom! There goes the bubble.
I was going to say this big reveal. No, it's just they do it every month.
It's just they do it. They do an ISO refresh every month.
Here's us here going. Yeah, we did it. they put it out every month.
Ryan, you know it's going to take you a few months or maybe even a couple of years to live that MIA deal down for a while. Sorry, buddy.
Whenever he gets Antergos installed.
I feel no pressure about it. The fact that you guys can't figure out how to install Antergos and can't use i3. I'm supposed to be the one that's shamed by this.
I have no
you
problem.
all have shame. No. Shame.
I had no problem.
Shame. Where's my bell?
Came up with such a lame excuse as well, being snowed in at an airport. I mean,
yeah, exactly.
Who gets snowed in December, for God's sake?
In Atlanta. In Atlanta.
I mean, it was all over the news. I didn't make this stuff up. You can go and Google it.
It's fake news. Like CNN covered it. Josh Geek trapped in airport.
Yeah, it was a headline.
Fake news.
That's what I said.
Fake news.
I've just searched. Oh my God, Ubuntu, and it's not.
Could you imagine if that was on the front page of a newspaper? Everyone would be like, "Who the hell's that? Who cares?
Why is someone talking about me?
Who is this person?"
Fake news,
dude. It's such real news. But what's not fake news is the fact you're going to distro hop and you still haven't picked the distro.
MX17. Well, there you go. Try that one.
Well, I tried
MX. It is. I
tried MX.
He should be on MX, but it's the XFCE monitor issue.
Well, I haven't, like I said, I haven't tried. I mean, I've tried Linux Lite, which is really nice, but I haven't tested it with Steam or gaming or anything, so I don't know if it has the same XFCE issues with the monitors.
How about like Tumbleweed or something?
Yeah. How about that Ubuntu Budgie?
Been there. Wait, still there.
Does that have the dual monitor problem though, Rocco?
No. No, it doesn't.
My dual monitors run fine on Ubuntu Budgie. I've been running Budgie for the last 3 months, I think. Works good.
At work, I had 5 monitors at one point, so
5.
No issues there.
There's no issues on Plasma except for the ones I had.
So Kirby asked, if we're working in the 1980s in New York and someone offered you a computer running any distro you want, which one would you choose from 1980? Well, I wasn't born yet, so I wouldn't choose anything.
Well, Linux didn't exist yet, so I wouldn't.
If you're talking early 90s.
Early Unix, is it?
1994 was the first.
Barbara, you're muted. You were about to say something.
No, we can't hear you, Barbara.
You're still muted.
So 1990, which distro, I guess, would you guys choose?
What was it, LSS?
There was like 3 that existed.
Does the song Wrecking Ball mean anything?
1995.
Wrecking Ball mean anything?
OS2 Warp.
I remember seeing OS2 Warp come across in our shop one time. I had no idea what it was back then, but I remember someone running it on a machine we were working on.
That's like
there must have been a Nopix back then, was there? A Nopix? Was that around back then, Ben?
No,
I don't think Ben.
2002.
Yes, Barbara, that is the number pad.
Oh.
Now, Zoran. No way. There's no way I'm going to Zoran.
What's wrong with Zoran?
No, it's like elementary.
Yeah,
it's like lockdown.
It has
looks like Windows works like Windows.
Yeah. It has a certain way of doing things that does not coincide with how Rocco does things.
That's right.
There's a pixel off.
Maybe.
There's that too.
I don't really like their themes, I must say.
No.
Zoran's, I'm not keen on their themes.
They're modern looking, but they're not my style. So, gotta agree.
No.
They're like an
You're
running out
for you.
hybrid.
Rocco won't hop.
I'm not gonna hop. I'm telling you, I'm not.
Yes,
gonna
he is. He's gonna hop. Well, now he won't because he's gonna be stubborn and be like, "I told you." And as soon as he's done doing that, he'll hop. He's gonna hop.
Hi, my name is Rocco. The journey started with KDE.
Which I've been going through your videos just to get caught up in KDE.
I'm one of the founding members of DHA. Thank you.
Yeah, I know. Unfortunately, Chicken's become the president lately, though.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, dude, that guy, Colin. You and Chicken have some issues, dude. You need the hotline.
I was gonna say, I think I jumped 6 times in one day, and he was like, "Oh, I did like 9." I'm like, what the heck?
No, but my main system here has been, like I said, I've had Ubuntu Budgie for 3 months, but I hop on my laptop, so I've got 4 partitions though, so I can have 4 different distros running at any time.
So you're hopping constantly back and forth every day between at least 4.
Something like that. Hi, my name is Colin.
Yep, exactly.
And notice how he does not quantify a number, just says something like that.
Well, hey, it's a disease. Okay, just run with
Actually,
it.
I haven't hopped in so long that I'm actually having like withdrawals from my hoppage.
Where are you going?
I'm on a quest. I'm on a quest to find the best desktop, something that seems to be, that I think it's like, what the desktop is best for you when you use it. Something just pops out at you as soon as you put it on there, and you know.
Well, remember,
it's amazing.
Like it's. I agree that the quest is a good quest to have, and just remember that the journey is just as important as the destination.
Yeah.
Michael wins for the
really
night.
liking Michael tonight. I don't know what it is, but
he wins for the night.
Michael, you're like going way up here in my book.
He's on fire.
He is on fire, man.
I want to see Linux distros adopt the deep in store throughout. I think that would be awesome. to have as a default. I think their deep install is excellent.
It's pretty.
Yeah,
It's pretty.
I like it. Is that it?
I mean, I've looked at the code, and their code is a little bit desired.
It's what?
It's what? Sorry.
There's a little bit to be desired.
Just the guy using Discover.
Oh.
No, you know what?
No, you probably at least you admits it.
I use a terminal because Discover is not good.
Well, actually, Discover has gotten a lot better recently with their patch they just made. But we won't go into much because you can hear more about that on Monday.
Oh,
that was on an RMG Ubuntu. They were talking about fixing that up.
Yeah, they're making a lot of. They are making improvements, and they have been for a very long time. It's just it's not really there yet. It probably won't. I think the first version that will be reasonably useful and not buggy as much is 4.12 or 4.12. It's 5.12 version. Like when 5.12 comes out, which will probably be like 17.13, something like that. That's probably going to be like the first version where it doesn't feel like a chore to use it. 'Cause right now it's a chore. Like even if you just like scroll down with the mouse wheel or the page down, it'll still like mess up locations of things where they are, and the buttons will vanish in some cases. Like,
what's with the scrolling speed in Discover? The scrolling speed is slow, really slow. Don't know what that is, but
I don't know. I have no answer. Like, I miss Muon, and I think Discover is has a ton of potential, but it's just not there yet. Like, I hope they get there because that's
accurate.
That's like telling the talented kid in school that he's really good and he has tons of potential but never lives up to it.
It's still accurate.
I don't disagree with that. So I think Discover is. So anyway,
yeah. Mm-hmm. So Dustin, what's going on with Ubuntu Budgie?
Speaking of software centers.
Oh, ours is about the same as always. Always on the lookout, but haven't found anything that we want. So,
as far as software centers,
yeah, I mean we're still on GNOME software and stuff like that, but it's GNOME software. So,
fair enough.
It's kind of like the best of right now without having to rip a ton of stuff out. So, we're looking at the elementary stuff a little bit too, but there's just now is not the right time going into 1804. So
yeah, and App Center is specific to their thing, like what they want to do. And
well, apparently you can. They're trying to architect it in such a way that anyone can sort of pick it up. I know Pop was looking at it for a while, or they did some work on it. I'm not too sure how far they got, but last time I talked to Daniel about it, he was talking about how they wanted to put the pinnings in to make it pretty easy for others to use.
Yeah. I mean, I was just saying, like, right now at the point, it's not there yet.
No, not at all. We looked at it a few months ago, and then we just sort of backed off on it. So
yeah, it has potential, but it looks good.
Yeah,
there you go.
The new Linux Mint store actually works very well, I must say. That's quite fast now. A lot better than the previous one.
Michael's triggered.
Why are you acting
Jack trigger?
Like unleash on Mint every time someone. So here's why Mint's terrible. So
here comes the Hail Mary.
They did make some improvements to things, including the software center that they use.
Did you see Michael though? He was like he was sitting there involved in something, and someone said Mint, and you could just see his head like he started twitching.
I was gonna say you start seeing like the vein bulging in his head, the eye twitching.
You guys are exaggerating a little bit. Like
just because your head almost exploded a few shows back we were talking about doesn't mean anything, you know.
No,
I don't. Next, please.
Michael, you accidentally sent me that telegram you're trying to send Rocco. I thought this was supposed to be a safe place.
Yeah, that sounds like me. I'm very shy, and I don't like to talk a lot on camera or anything. So.
Yeah.
Yes.
That sounds
totally.
Yeah, noticed that.
But like speaking of Iron Man's terrible. I actually think Min's like done a lot of good things recently. So
they're scrap.
Like, the new software's in a pretty good.
Finally, Scrap's here.
Not yet. Just his name's here.
Oh, just his name. Well, in name, Scrap's here.
He will be here shortly.
He needs to do that little theme song he did last week.
That's right. He has to come in with the theme song.
Oh, what? Look at him. He's all bundled up.
Are you homeless? Do you need money? Are you okay?
What's happening, brother?
Blink twice if you can hear us. Okay.
He looks like Tux.
Are you inside a coffin?
It's cold out here, bro.
Oh man.
Whereabouts is he? Whereabouts?
So apparently in his car somewhere, if I had to guess.
Looks like he's in his car.
He's held hostage in.
I need somebody to send help. Send help. No, damn. I just played a bunch of music for people that were throwing shit at me, and I don't know where they came from. I'm kidding. I know where they came from, and they liked it, and I had a gig, and it was fun. So, hi, guys. I may or may not be around when I get done loading my car up, but I just want to say hi because Geek was like, where you at? So, here I am. I'm alive, old, in Ohio, and I'm having a good time tonight. So, hi, guys.
What's up, man?
What's going on, Scott?
Final word is rock on.
See you,
That
Scrap.
must be the place where the sharks are freezing over, is it? I've seen some place in the news where sharks are freezing over or something.
Not here, because there are no sharks in Ohio.
Oh, okay.
Unless you consider somewhere else an 8-ball.
Till Sharknado happened.
Till Sharknado happened, or yeah.
All right. Have fun, fellas. I'll be home for some Rocket League in a little bit. Cool.
Dig it.
See you, Scrap.
We're moving on to Rust, though.
Oh,
I mean, you might be.
It's
I'm
okay.
pretty sure.
I don't need to sleep tonight, so
Sleep's overrated.
So
Yeah.
tell me what Rust is about, Dustin.
it's kind of like a better graphics Minecraft. It's a survival game, and depending on the server, it depends whether people are going to be nice or if they're going to loot the hell out of you.
Right.
And the biggest problem is when you leave the game, your body's still in game. So people can basically walk up while you're sleeping on the ground and just crack you on the head and take all your stuff. Or
sounds great.
It's like the i3 of games, Rocco. You got to really know your stuff to be able to play it.
Obviously, that's why I'm not playing it. Huh?
To be fair, by default, they just now added hair to people, so it is kind of like ugly in the same way that i3 is.
Oh my god!
Oh, wow!
you know what's funny is
Taking shots.
The fact that you wake up buck naked and there's no censorship's kind of ugly on the eyes too at times.
Yeah. It doesn't sound like my kind of game.
An interesting game, but it takes a lot of effort and stuff. And I don't like the idea of like it depends on the server you go to. The first time I played it, I went to a public server.
Yeah,
it's worse, awful.
Oh,
like it's not worth even going into that.
Well, that's part of the reason why I spun one up just for while Ryan and I are dorking around on it, was just because I was in the Linux for Gaming one, which is relatively calm compared to a lot of them. Yeah. And I had spent like some time building up, and then I came back like the next day and I was looted and buck naked on a beach again. So
yeah, it makes sense.
And then I just didn't have that kind of time to build that up again. So
yeah, but rolling on our own server is great because he's the admin. So someone starts messing around like kicked. You can't kill me.
No, that's where you just hand out semi-automatics to everyone except for him.
Oh,
right.
Goodbye. Goodbye.
It's good to be the admin.
That's right. It is good.
And then you just warp everyone to his coordinates.
We know how to take care of people.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why I play Rocket League.
Yeah.
Fishman reckons it reminds him of a movie that he's seen, Deliverance.
Yeah. So Linux.
What's that?
So getting back to Linux.
Usual topic.
Yeah.
That's what I usually say.
Yeah.
Well, the good news is it looks like I've cured my freezing problem I had.
Did you find out what it was?
Were you in Ohio?
I just went back to the 410 kernel, and it's not frozen one since. 4.13.26 for some reason was causing me a problem. So
that's one thing I don't do very often is change the kernels. I usually
he just learned a new tweak.
I just usually run whatever's there. I don't like mess with like updating them or rolling them back or I don't know.
So we've found the one spot in the whole distro that Rocco doesn't touch.
But not after today.
Yeah, exactly.
You're going to be a kernel expert by tomorrow.
See, he's going to Linux from scratch then if he's going to be an expert.
Well, then he's optimistic if it's by tomorrow.
Yeah.
Very true.
Michael is in love with Linux Mint. Okay.
Who said that?
Anna said that.
Oh, nice.
Notice the enthusiasm there, Michael.
Totally.
So actually, he got cut off before because he was saying some good things about Linux Mint. Would you like to elaborate, Michael?
Yeah, Michael, let's talk about the good things about Linux Mint.
I don't remember that at all.
What have they done?
It had something to do with the Software Center. Let's start there. They've done some good work in the Software Center, haven't they, Michael?
Crickets.
Let's see.
I'm listening.
Compared to Deep In?
Sort of. Well, compared to Deep In. It's gotten a lot better. It's a lot smoother. It's not as incredibly slow as it used to be. So like they have improved it heavily. They still have things they need to work on, but they are making improvements, so that's good. So I don't really want to bash Linux Linux Mint all the time, but like it's just so easy sometimes, and it's just well, it's funny because people were like the whole Spectre Meltdown thing comes out, and then people are like, "Well, I use Mint, I'm okay." Like, no, what? You're one of the worst, actually.
What? Why would they say they're okay?
Because they don't know the problems. I've had people contact me in Telegram directly, like private messages, and ask me to not be mean about Mint.
What,
Michael? I didn't mean to send that to you.
But I'm not mean about Mint. And I was like, I don't know what you're referring to, but if like you're talking about the problems that it has, like they were saying that those things don't exist, that those problems are not real. I was like, they are real. Huh? Like they have a significant amount of real problems. But I don't bash them. If they do something bad, I will point out if it's bad. They do something good, I'll point out it's good. So like they have this the Software Center is good, but they had a private internet access like application they built specifically for that, which is really good because in most cases it's difficult to set up a VPN. So it's really nice that they did that. So I mean I applaud them for that. But having kernel updates turned off by default when you have this massive kernel update for a big giant flaw in CPUs, kind of a problem.
We had an interesting conversation on that on the Peppermint forum. Someone was blasting us because we use Mint Update, but we've got everything turned on by default, even up to 5. And he was saying, look, say you've got a quote in your forum where someone had a problem where they updated the kernel, and then like 30 seconds later, somebody posted a Linux Mint article where you got Clem saying you need to manually upgrade to 4.13.26. So his whole post of saying, kernel updates are bad, and then you've got the developer saying you need to update your kernel. You can't do it via the Mint manager because it's turned off. So go in and just manually do it yourself via the manager. So that policy just doesn't work. I mean, they talk about security updates coming through, but I don't think that includes the kernel security updates, does it?
Selective security for the win.
Yeah.
Is that real security?
the security things are turned off because they say that it'll create breaks, but it'll create breaks because the way they do weird packaging structures. So like if they were just to follow the Ubuntu path of how they build the system, those breaks would never happen. But they do it. They don't. They purposefully change it, and they change priority of applications. So the dependencies are awkward, and they don't always pull in the right dependency and all this other stuff. So they create the breaks themselves. If they didn't, they wouldn't have to do that if they didn't do that. So.
They just said to Ubuntu, "We do what we want."
Well, the thing is too is if you're going to go and modify everything out the box like that, then maybe you need to have a somewhat decent QA team to actually deal with it, rather than turning it off because you either A, you don't have the people, or B, you just don't want to do it that way.
So, does anybody know how many people actually work on Mint?
Very few.
The Mint dev team.
Not exactly, as they won't tell you how many, but it's very few. Like a handful. I'd say maybe like full time, maybe 2.
Really?
Yeah.
Had a lot more than that.
No, they have a significant amount of money that they could totally hire people to do it, but they don't. They have a lot of contributors, but most of them are community people. As far as like actually working for the company itself, I don't think there's that many at all.
Someone said something about they've got 400,000 in Bitcoin or something.
Maybe.
Yeah, I've seen that somewhere. Yeah.
If you have if you have a lot of Bitcoin in the beginning, I mean, you could get 400,000 with just like, roughly about 30 Bitcoins. So, but you also have to get someone to be willing to give you money for those Bitcoins.
Well, you sure can't buy product with it right now.
Definitely not.
Right.
I mean, Bitcoin itself, as a currency, Bitcoin is, as a usable currency, Bitcoin is dead.
Yeah, until it flatlines, like until it levels, wherever it's going to level, it's going to be useless because, like, how could you accept that? Like, you would never know how much you're going to actually get paid for your product right now.
Well, that's not even the problem. Like, that is a significant problem. That the volatility is going to it's going to last for a very long time. The problem that makes it unusable is the fact that the transaction fees are so high.
Yeah.
So, like, a lot of people are saying that Bitcoin was dead because Steam decided to stop using it. Steam decided to stop using it because of the transaction fees. Like the transaction fee for regardless of what Bitcoin you send, what amount you send is $20 fee. So if you send a small amount of fee, you spend like for Steam, if you buy a game for $5, it's $20 plus $5.
Wow. So 25.
So and the transaction is essentially on the end of the person receiving it. So Steam would have to pay those fees they'd have to go in debt in that process.
Yeah.
So they just canceled it. And that fee of $20 is like an average. Sometimes it's up to like $30, but it's always no less than 15, regardless of what the transaction is. So all the times people use it for like trading services or just trading products and stuff, because that transaction fee is now so drastic, it's almost impossible to use it. I've actually had people who were willing to pay me in Bitcoin because I wanted to see use Bitcoin but not have to mine anything. So I was like, I'll sell some services for Bitcoin, and they were like, well, now that these fees, I'll just give you money. Like they'd rather just pay the money than do the fees.
Yeah, it seems like people are mostly holding on to it for that Hail Mary that it goes up somewhere quite a bit higher than where it is today, that it'll make sense for them to sell it out.
It is possible it's going to go higher. I bet it will. I think it's going to crash probably a couple thousand in the next month or two, and then it's going to go back up and then crash about 7 more times. And
That wouldn't surprise me.
Yeah, it's going to keep going back. It's going to go back. It's going to just yo-yo for the entire year.
Yeah,
I think
you got to look at the
same
trend more than the short term. You got to look at where that yo-yo is going at the top end.
Yeah, but it changes so drastically, just depending on like what happens with Coinbase and all this other stuff. But it's so interesting because like Bitcoin is so popular and so hyped now that it's just not even useful anymore.
The one Bitcoin is worth 14,000 almost US dollars.
Yeah.
One Bitcoin.
That's actually a drop of 2,000. 2,000 drop on that.
So how does that work? If you hand over a Bitcoin and pay for a $5 game, the value of that Bitcoin is reduced, or how does that work?
You can do fractional. You just do a fraction of a Bitcoin.
Yeah, you don't actually pay in a full Bitcoin. You pay in like a 100,000th of a Bitcoin.
Okay.
It's just like change versus a dollar, right? Or I guess that's not even accurate these days, but
except it's just like it's an infinite number of division of the Bitcoins.
That's just a crazy price for one coin.
Yeah, but it's the Bitcoin system itself is amazing, and at the same time, like the hype around it is getting like it's to the point of impossibility. That's why Ethereum is getting bigger, and that's why Bitcoin Cash is getting bigger, and that's why Dash and Litecoin and et cetera, et cetera. There's like a couple hundred of them. They're just getting bigger and bigger. And I think Telegram made their own.
Yeah, they have some sort of blockchain thing sort of going on now too.
Yeah, it's the hype is huge. So Bitcoin's going to grow a little bit more, and then it will eventually tank probably about 20% or so. But that won't hurt it at all. Like the entire purpose of Bitcoin actually is really an amazing thing. So it pulls all of the power away from any one entity. So like it's the most open currency there's ever existed. So like the idea that governments back currencies and they get to control how much the currency is worth, and they get to control the inflation, how much is printed and stuff. Whereas Bitcoin this is how many coins that will ever exist. No, there will never be inflation. There will be never increasing. This is just it. And that's 21 million Bitcoins. So it'll take a while to get to that point, but it'll never go any more than that. So the value has got to be set in a structure of how many per Bitcoins is what the value. So they just split it up a lot. But also no one company can control what happens to Bitcoin, because if someone tries to like short Bitcoin, they can't, because everyone else has to verify the transactions. And because everyone is included in the verification, no one can cheat. No one can give fake Bitcoins, because you can see within seconds whether it's real or not. And there's also like the idea that it's the same kind of concept that the internet has. Like you can take down someone who's running an internet service. You can take down an internet user, but you can't take down all of the internet everywhere. And the same thing happens with Bitcoin, because it spreads so far. You can take down some cases like Coinbase or Mt. Gox or wherever. You can take those down, but you can't take down Bitcoin itself. So it's the most like game-changing thing that has ever happened as far as like economic systems.
Well, as interesting as that conversation was,
how the algorithm works.
I'll stay with pounds, thanks.
It actually is interesting. Okay,
I'm sure it's very.
Here's how the algorithm works, and here's how the blockchain works.
Okay, Zeb, last word. All right, Zeb, you start out. Last word.
Peppermint Linux rocks.
Okay.
Shocking.
Colin.
Oh, am I next? I have no last words tonight.
What are you hopping to next?
Well, I'm going to continue on KDE Neon for a while and see how that goes, and then I'm going to try Red Core. Red Core Linux. There you go. Last words.
Last words. Red Core.
Red Core.
Joe.
Distro Hoppertitis. It's real.
Matt.
Tuxdigital.com, Dark1778.
There you go. Michael.
Tuxdigital.com/Destination Linux.
Yeah, man.
I love it. Dustin, what's your last word, dude?
Alpha 2. That's all I've got on my mind right now.
Alpha 2. Pete.
His first and last.
Bumblebee drivers, pretty awesome.
Bumblebee drivers.
Allows you to switch between integrated and dedicated graphics.
Yep.
Like the Optimus stuff.
Right.
Yeah.
Ryan.
High IQ society prefers i3, man.
Wow.
And Bitcoin.
And Bitcoin.
Last word. Check out Destination Linux episode 53 Monday.
Yeah.
And tuxedo.com/PCTLC.
There you go.
Thank you.
All right.
See you later, everyone.
See you, everyone.
See you.
See ya. Bye.